Okay, so welcome to tonight's webinar. As you can see from the first screen there, tonight we're talking about personal development. And this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run, our Kleeneze Circle of Success. And as you can see, tonight's the last of the series of 8. So I start off just on kind of getting started in the first few weeks, then a bit more about building up your customer base, then a couple about team building, and then the last 3 are, if you like, the skills that you need to learn outside of the catalogues and the team building. So it's all about your own personal skills, and hopefully that will kind of make a bit more sense after tonight. And as I said briefly at the beginning, all of these are recorded. So, excuse me, if you hang on till we get right to the end, I'll show you where all the recordings are. So if, for example, Daniel, you really want to have a look at the getting started one and the one for your first 4 weeks, then you can go to the recordings and you don't have to wait for the next kind of week or two to catch up with those. So, personal development, what's all that about? A good definition that I read, which kind of makes sense to me, is that personal development is a process of self-education. And by that I mean it's something that you choose to do yourself. It's not like at school where you get told what to do. And you choose what you want to learn, and you learn them in order to improve the quality of your life. So you know exactly why you're working on a particular thing. So as I said there, it's not like school, because you do it because you want to do it, and you decide where you want to work on. And hopefully, especially if you're new in the business, you might not be sure what that all means, but hopefully over the next few days and weeks it will start to make a bit more sense. Now, those of you who saw the last training webinar, we talked a little bit about when everyone joins Kleeneze, we all start off with exactly the same opportunity. We all get 250 catalogues. We all get the same products. We all have the same. We all start off with 250 catalogues, no customers, and a load of enthusiasm, hopefully. However, some will succeed and some won't. And what we explained was that your attitude is really, really important in your success. Because Kleeneze is not a get-rich-quick scheme. So if you're looking for something where you can come in and within your first few days you're kind of earning lots and lots of money, then it's not really going to happen like that. You need to kind of build it up over a period of time. So how can you make sure that you are one of the ones that is going to succeed? A big influence on that is your self-education or personal development, I guess is another way of saying it. And one of my favourite speakers, favourite kind of lecturers, a chap called Jim Rohn, said, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. And that's certainly, I can really see a lot of truth in that. So let me just give you a little bit of an example. This isn't supposed to be a personal history, but just to give you an idea. I went to school, I got a bunch of O-levels and some A-levels. I thought I was reasonably bright. I went to university, but I just wasn't ready for it. I did a year and then just dropped out because I was just messing about with it. And when I was doing my O-levels, I did some languages. So we did French and German at our school. And I got a grade B in French, which I was reasonably happy with. And I just about scraped an E in German. Now, 15 years later, I did them again. I got a grade A in French and a grade A in German. And the question I wanted to ask you is, do you think I developed a sudden skill in languages? I kind of suddenly learned a brilliant way of learning languages. And the answer, of course, is no. I didn't kind of suddenly have a great skill. I worked hard on them because I wanted to. Now, what actually happened was that a company that I worked for got taken over by a French company. And there were some opportunities to go and do some work in Paris. And I thought, oh yeah, I quite fancied the sound of that. So I decided to go to evening school and do my French O-level again. And because I was really keen, and I could see the reason for doing it, at school you often don't know why you're learning these things, but I knew exactly why I was doing it. I wanted to go and see if I could get some work in Paris. So I worked hard on my French and I got a grade A. A couple of years later, similar thing happened. I actually left that company, went to another company, and they were actually a German company. And there were opportunities to go and work over in Germany, and I fancied the sound of that as well. So again, I thought maybe a bit of German would help. So I went to evening class, did my German GCSE as it was then, got a grade A in that as well. So the point there I'm trying to get across is because I wanted to do something, because I could see the reason for doing it. I worked really hard at that. I did all my homework, did, extra revision, all that sort of thing. And because I worked really hard at something that I wanted to do, I got the results. I got my grade A's instead of scraping a B and an E. So, what's that got to do with Kleeneze then? Well, most people join Kleeneze not because they really enjoy delivering catalogues. Most people join Kleeneze because they want to make a change in their life. It's usually kind of financial based, but sometimes it's to do with freedom of time and money, because obviously you can fit Kleeneze around your other commitments. So if you started Kleeneze and you had in your mind some kind of change in the lifestyle that you wanted, you might ask yourself, and Daniel, you've only just started, so it's maybe not quite so relevant for you. You might ask yourself, have you achieved it yet? Have you got the change in lifestyle that you were hoping for when you started Kleeneze? And if not, and a lot of people, as I said, it doesn't happen overnight. A lot of people, you have to work on it over a period of time. If not, what you need to do is, and I'm just going to show you that now. So, how do you get to that improved lifestyle? So basically, to get that improved lifestyle, let's just assume it's to do with having more money to spend. So the money is effectively the results by having lots of orders from your customers, by getting a good customer base where you can just deliver to your customers regularly, by having team members and building up that residual income. All of those things will give you the increased income that will hopefully give you that lifestyle that you were looking for when you first joined. So you need those results. However, the results don't just come by themselves. You can't sit at home and say, come on, where are all these orders? Why isn't anybody joining my team? So to get those results, you need to take some actions. So what are the actions that you need to take? Well, obviously, you need to deliver your catalogues, getting your catalogues out at least once or twice every week, speaking to people about the opportunity. You never know when somebody might be in a situation where they could do with a bit of extra money, and you've got a way of showing them how to earn that extra money. So you need to speak to people about it as well. Now, before you take those actions, what you might find is you need the right attitude. When you first start off, you sort of think, oh yeah, I'll put my catalogues out. But if you're a bit nervous, or the weather's not so good, or somebody says, oh, you don't want to be doing that, why don't you come down and have a game of football and a pint with the lads? There's lots of things, distractions, if you like. So what you need is a good attitude. An attitude of, I've seen other people who have done really, really well from Kleeneze. If they can do it, so can I. And your attitude, whether that's a good attitude or a bad attitude, whether that's positive thinking or negative thinking, a lot of your attitude is based around your philosophies on life. Now, if you're anything like me, when somebody said to me, what are your philosophies on life, I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. So I'll explain a bit more about that in a moment. But hopefully, what I'm trying to get across here is that by having some really good philosophies, which I'll explain in a moment, that will give you a good attitude. Every morning you get up and you sort of think, right, I'm going to get those catalogues out. I'm going to speak to 20 people today about the business. I'm going to deliver 100 leaflets, whatever it might be. So every morning, by having that kind of the good philosophies, you'll have a good attitude. That attitude will allow you to take those actions, whatever it is, and those actions will deliver the results. Not immediately, it takes you have to sort of be patient with Kleeneze, but we know, because so many people have been doing this for the last 90 years, that if you put your catalogues out regularly, if you put leaflets out and speak to enough people about it, you will get the results that will give you that improved lifestyle. So, just summing that up there, a good philosophy gives you a great attitude, which then encourages you to take those actions every day, which will then give you the results, which will give you that lifestyle that you are looking for. So, how do you get a good philosophy? Well, it's the books that you read. It's the CDs that you listen to. It's the people that you associate with as well. I'm going to expand on this in a moment, so don't worry guys if you're sort of thinking it's just a little bit vague. But you can educate yourself. You can start a program of personal development. Remember what I said at the beginning about doing my French and German. if this is something that you really want, if you want the nice cars and the holidays and the nice house and all those things, you've got a goal, you've got a desire to achieve those things. So you can start teaching yourself the skills that you need in order to you know, achieve all those things. So, as I've said there, who can start a program of personal development? Anybody can. You guys can all do this. Another little quote that I just want to give you from Jim Rohn, as I say, one of my favorite speakers. He talks about the greatest value in achieving success is not the money that you make, but the person that you become. Now, what he means by that is that basically, if you achieve success, if the success is, say, having £1 million in the bank, if you had £1 million in the bank just because you got lucky and you bought a lottery ticket, then you've got £1 million in the bank. You haven't changed as a person, but you've just got a lot of money in the bank. If somebody else comes along and they kind of develop some skills, they work hard, they develop, you know, whatever it is, they start a business, they start doing really well, they learn lots of things, and the business does really well, and they get £1 million in the bank. Now, you could argue they're both as successful, they both got £1 million in the bank, but actually, if they then spent that, if they kind of went on great holidays and bought a flash car and lots of jewellery and all sorts of things, and the money was all gone, the guy who had won it with the lottery ticket would still be the same person, and he wouldn't have the money in the bank, and he wouldn't really know how to get the money back again. You know, might buy some more lottery tickets. Whereas the person who had learned how to start a business and worked it and sold all of his product or whatever it might be, can do that again. The skills that he had learned in order to become successful and earn that £1 million haven't gone. And that's what Jim Rohn is meaning there, about the person you become, not necessarily the result of the success itself. So, going back to this personal development program, you can start by reading 10 pages of a good book every day. And what I mean by a good book, I've got some examples coming up in a moment. I don't necessarily mean a great novel like Harry Potter. They're great books. I really like Harry Potter books, but that's not what not going to help you kind of grow yourself as a person. But just reading 10 pages, even with 115 days off every year, that's 2,500 pages of a good book a year. That's 10 good books. If you read 10 good books every year, that's a great self-education. If you're not great at reading, I've got to admit, if I sit down and start reading, I'll doze off within about 10 minutes. What I prefer to do is listen to audio CDs in the car. So you can listen to 10 minutes of a good book, but on an audio CD, and you know, it's just the same really. You can, and so many books these days you can get as audio CDs, or you can download onto your MP3 player, anything like that. And another interesting point is, who do you spend most of your time with? And here's a good point here, and I think this is very, very true. If the 4 people you spend the most time with are all broke, then you'll be the 5th. And that's very true. You kind of tend to stick with the kind of people, you know, that you learn from the people that you're with. And if they're not successful and they're all skint, you might find you're in the same situation. So you should be thinking about who you're spending time with. I'll come back to that in a moment as well. So I've just got some really good philosophies that I sort of thought of, but I kind of have adopted over the last few years. And hopefully this will give you a little bit of inspiration as well. So one of my favourite ones is take responsibility for everything going on in your life. What I mean by that is, if you start to blame someone or something, you lose the ability to do anything about it. So for example, if you're kind of stuck in a job and you need some extra money and you say, well, the trouble is my boss won't give me a pay rise, the company's not doing particularly well, I've got my boss has got a really tight budget, or he doesn't think I'm working very hard, so I've got no chance of getting a pay rise from him. If you blame your boss, then you're right, you probably won't get a pay rise from it, because you're kind of blaming him for the lack of the pay rise. However, if you, instead of blaming him, if you take responsibility for what's going on in your life, you can say to yourself, okay, to get a pay rise, one thing I could do is see if I could get promoted. Now, what is the next job on the career ladder, if you like? What skills do I need to get that? And you could then go out and get those skills. There are evening classes, there are online things that you can do. You can take responsibility for learning some extra skills. And if your company that you're working with at the moment don't have an opportunity for you, those extra skills would allow you to apply for a better, more qualified, more well-paid job if that's what you wanted to do. Another thing I've heard a lot of people say is, oh, well, yeah, that's all very well, but I don't have time to do that. Now, as soon as you start saying, I don't have time to do it, and you list all those other things that are getting in the way, you're right. You don't have time for it because all those other things are not, they're not within your control. They're other things that you have to do. What is much better to say is, actually, I choose to spend my time doing this. So, I choose to go to work at the moment. I choose to pick the kids up from school. I choose to do some gardening because I find that relaxing. I choose to watch Coronation Street because it gives me a laugh. Whatever it is, don't say, I don't have time to put my catalogues out, or I don't have time to read my 10 pages. We all have the same 24 hours. It's up to you to decide what you do with them. But once you start taking responsibility for all these things, and you start saying, actually, I do have time to do that reading if I wanted to, but just at the moment I'm kind of choosing not to, then that's absolutely fine. And what you find is that just reduces a lot of stress because you've got control over what you've decided to do. You're not dependent on some stingy boss or some lack of a desire for 36 hours in every day or anything. And then another philosophy which I really, really like is this one here. Success is a few correct decisions repeated every day. Failure is a few errors in judgment repeated every day. And this is really, really true of Kleeneze. Becoming a success isn't in Kleeneze isn't because you go out one day and deliver 10,000 catalogues. It's because you go out every day and deliver 200 catalogues or however many you're doing. And just by repeatedly doing the correct thing, you will be successful. If, however, you start to say, oh, well, I'm not sure, I might not put them out tomorrow because the weather doesn't look great. Or, oh, no, I promised I would go and have a few beers with the lads tomorrow, so I probably can't do it tomorrow. Then those little errors, those little sort of things that are not helping you to build your business, you gradually sort of repeat those, and in a little while you will notice your business isn't being particularly successful just because of those small failures. So you don't have to have a massive decision to be successful or a massive error to fail. It's more the kind of daily little things that determine your success or your failure. Yeah, and I kind of said that there, reading those 10 pages every day or not reading them, putting 50 extra catalogues out once or twice a week or not. These are all decisions you can make. And depending on which way you make them will determine your success or your failure. And the last one, and this is very true for Kleeneze, help enough people get what they want out of life, then you can have anything you want out of life. And obviously with Kleeneze in the team building side, most people that come into Kleeneze join because they want a bit more out of life. They need a bit of extra money or they need that time freedom. If you can help enough people get that, then just by the nature of how Kleeneze rewards you, you can have anything you want out of your life. Okay, I mentioned earlier about some books and reading 10 pages of a good book as a way to start personal development. So there's a bunch here I'm just going to recommend. My favorite one, and this is actually a CD, not a book, Building Your Network Marketing Business by Jim Rohn. It's basically how network marketing works. And it was the first CD I listened to, really, and it's still my favorite now. It's in my car all the time. I listen to it regularly. And I just love the way he talks and the ideas he gets across, especially when it comes to sort of the team building. So it's not really particularly about catalogues, although the ideas can be used for both cataloging and the team building. So I certainly recommend that one. And then another one, and this is a book, is called 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. And this is a great book by Jim Rohn. This is all about kind of setting goals. Talks a little bit about investment. He talks a bit about his philosophies in life. And if I've inspired you at all with any of the philosophies and things I've talked about, then I'd certainly recommend that book because that's a great way to kind of help you think about building wealth and happiness into your life. Right, the next 2 books are very related to one of the philosophies I talked about a moment ago. The Slight Edge and the Compound Effect. So Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, and are both basically saying It's the small decisions that you make every day that determine your success. It's not kind of a huge, shall I do this, shall I not, I make the wrong decision and everything's a failure. It's the little ones that are important. And both of those books just demonstrate that in great ways. So really recommend either of those. Get them both if you're keen, but certainly just choose one of those, and you'll do really well looking through those. And then a couple more. The one there, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's a bit of a classic, really. I think it was written in the 1930s. It's kind of around the time of the big kind of steel industries in and around America. And Dale Carnegie is basically like a salesman, sort of going to visit and meet all these kind of successful businessmen trying to sell his products. And basically what he said was, be nice to people. It's amazing what you get in return. Now, I kind of tried to simplify in one short sentence the gist of that book, but there's a lot of really good stuff in it. And again, it's nothing to do with Kleeneze, nothing even to do with network marketing. It's just about relating to people and understanding people, and you'll find that very useful, especially if you start to get into team building and kind of working with your customers. And then the last book here I was going to recommend is another Darren Hardy one, Design Your Best Year Ever. Now this is more like a workbook in that you kind of write in it, you've got notes in it, and you use it almost like a diary throughout a year. And it doesn't have to be a calendar year. You could start in June and finish the following June. But basically what it allows you to do is you set your goals. So you'll have some kind of ambitious goals, and that could be something like wanting to qualify for Jamaica or the next international conference or whatever. And when you first set those goals, they might feel a bit kind of too far away. Do you know what I mean? Like you are where you are now, and if it's an ambitious goal, you might think, gosh, I'd really love to get to Jamaica or somewhere, but I'm not really sure what I need to do to qualify. And what this book allows you to do is to break that big goal down into monthly chunks. So you might know that you need to, every month you need to bring in half a dozen new team members or something like that, as an example. And then you break that down into weekly activities. So the weekly targets, and the weekly targets might be, well, I need to speak to 20 people about the business every week. So maybe that's your target when you first start off. And then you break that down into daily steps. So the daily activities might be putting out 5 shop cards, or delivering 100 leaflets, or speaking to 5 people around the town, or whatever it might be. So suddenly, from having a really exciting goal that's a bit not quite sure how to get there, to having little daily steps, and every morning you can wake up and know what you've got to do. It's just a great way of achieving goals, and I'd certainly recommend that as well. It particularly appealed to me. I'm kind of quite a structured person, so I like to have things in little daily chunks. So if that's the sort of person you are as well, I'd recommend that one. Right, where are we going? So my last piece of advice for you all is just make a start today. This webinar is too short. I can't kind of speak to you all individually and try and create a program for you that will work for all of you. But just make a start. Hopefully, one of those books that I described, you thought sounded interesting. So go and grab one of those books. You can get them. I'm pretty much sure you'll be able to get them all off Amazon. If you go to the Millionaires meetings or your local opportunity meetings, lots of those books will be available, and other ones as well are always available at those meetings as well. Speak to your upline if there's a particular area that you're interested in. Then speak to your upline, because if you've got an upline who's been in the business more than 3 or 4 years, they probably have a library themselves of books that they found particularly useful. But if you're not sure who to speak to and you want any more detail about any of those books or what to do next, just let me know. I'm quite happy to kind of have a chat with anybody that needs a little bit of help with any of that. Okay, so that's the end of that webinar. As I said there, that was personal development. The next one is all about getting started. Now, it's not actually going to be next Wednesday, because I'm going to an opportunity meeting next week. So I'll be doing that one in a fortnight. However, I know, Daniel, you'd only just started, so I imagine that one will be quite useful to you. So what I'm going to do is just show you where all of these recordings are. as you can see there, you can view the full series of the webinars. There's 8 of them, so over the last 8 or 9 weeks as I've been doing these, and they're all available on YouTube. So you can just go to that, if you just go onto YouTube and do a search on Chris Smith Kleeneze or something like that, I'm sure you'll find me. And feel free to subscribe to my channel, and then every time I put a new one up there, obviously you'll get a notification. But yeah, that's pretty much it now, guys. I'm just going to stop the recording.